President Biden's approval numbers are slipping, and the numbers show his own party, Democrats, are losing faith with him. The lower numbers show that his overall approval ratings, including Republicans in this, Democrats and independents, have slid down since the Israeli-Hamas war began. According to a Gallup poll, Biden's overall approval ratings in September were at only 41%, and now 1 month later, he has dropped 4 more points to 37%. And most politically troubling for a president seeking re-election is that his September approval ratings among just Democrats was at 86%, and now a month later, his October approval ratings with his own party have sunk to by a staggering 11 points to 75%. Member of the House Armed Services Committee, Texas Congressman Pat Fallon joins me. Good evening, sir.
Greta, how are you doing?
I'm very well. It looks like things are really heating up in the Middle East. Not that they weren't already, but now with the ground invasion having begun. Is the Biden administration keeping Congress abreast of what's going on and bringing Congress into this? Because Congress actually does historically and constitutionally have a role in a lot of these decisions. Are you being brought into these decisions?
Well, we're brought into at least the classified briefings. I've attended 3 personally myself. One was for all of Congress, and then the last couple were for Armed Services Committee members. So we have that, and I think new Speaker Johnson, who's going to be a great speaker, by the way, he's going to demand a seat at the table to discuss, because this is divided government. Joe Biden doesn't get to do what he wants to do. We have to have some kind of consensus, and we do have consensus that we want to support Israel and give them the machines, equipment, and material that they need to defend themselves.
So that was going to be my next question. There's an appetite within both parties, Democrats, Republicans in the House, to supply Israel with what it needs?
Yes. In fact, ironically, Republicans are far more enthusiastic. There are plenty of Democrats that are as well. But the problem for the Democrats are their extreme left wing does not want to support Israel at all.
Do we have things to supply? I mean, how deep is our supply? Because, you know, that's another consideration, because we can't just manufacture everything overnight. How deep is our supply to provide the things that Israel needs?
Well, what I'll tell you, Greta, because we did get some classified briefings on that as well. So just in a general sense, when those lines are hot, when they're making certain weaponry, particularly the more complicated stuff, we've got what we learned from Ukraine and supplying them was we've got to keep these lines. We need greater stocks, first of all, of ammunition and missiles and such. And we need to also ensure that some of those lines are hot. So when you do need them, like in these instances, you can get them. The more complicated weaponry sometimes takes up to 6 months to a year to even produce. So those you really have to have more of a supply in reserve.
Well, has that happened? Because, you know, we've been quite generous in the Ukraine-Russia war, where I read things about some of the supply being depleted. Have we been keeping up with that which we have generously given to Ukraine, or are we falling short on that?
That's a question that I have to be careful on answering. But it's Israel is smart in so much as they know that they live in a very dangerous neighborhood, and their stocks are good for a certain period of time. So that gives us some breathing space to help them when they need more equipment. And of course, we supply a lot of it. Most of it they buy from us, but some we give in aid.
All right. Now, you know, obviously, you know the threats coming from other countries in the region. If the United States does X, that Iran says it's going to get involved. We've got northern Israel being hit by Hezbollah. I mean, they've got the ground invasion into Gaza, but they're getting hit on several fronts. Do you anticipate that the United States is going to get dragged into this deeper?
I don't think we're going to see, American ground troops in Israel, Greta. No. Iran, when you have an authoritarian theocracy, you know what they do? When their lips are moving, that's when they're lying. So they lie constantly. They're bullies. They make idle threats. Sometimes they follow through, but they don't want to take on the United States. They have no appetite for that. That's not what they want. They want to make it appear like they're ready for that, but they aren't. What they want to do is be cowards and have Hezbollah and Hamas do their dirty work for them. Well,
the United States must be taking it somewhat seriously. I mean, they've got 2 aircraft carriers in the region, and we're deploying some people in a non-combat fashion, not to Israel, but to other areas. I mean, and we've got members of our own military personnel contractors who have suffered minor injuries recently. So it's not, I don't know how, you can have such confidence that Iran is just going to sit there.
Well, it's one of those situations where you hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Of course, we have to prepare for that happening. But as far as a direct conflict with Iran and the United States, that's one Iran would lose and lose badly. So I think that's one of the things. They act sometimes with great spontaneity and almost insanity. but they are sane enough to know that they do not want to take us on directly.
Congressman Pat Fallon, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Greta. God bless.